Welcome back to Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and in this video we're going to go over the cannabis sector, specifically Tilray, because they had some crazy earnings and the price action followed suit today. So we're going to go quickly over what we saw today in their earnings. So the title of this article, Tilray stocks soar after first results since aphria merger. So the biggest takeaways for me personally on this article and their earnings was that they generated free cash flow of 3.3 million compared to a cash burn of 28.3 million a year earlier. So to see that they are now net positive is a great thing to see. Also that they reported GAAP earnings of 18 cents per share compared to expectations of an 8-cent per share loss. And this is during a time where you still have lockdowns present, you still have people fearing interactions with other people who may not be going into dispensaries to get any sort of product because of the pandemic. And so to see these type of numbers coming out in such unprecedented situations shows me that this cannabis industry is going to be a crazy sector to come here in the market. Me being from Canada, having it legalized here for years now, it's just going to be a matter of time till other countries start to follow suit, because these numbers cannot be denied. People are starting to shift to recreational cannabis use, and so I think that is only going to grow as our generation start to age. And so like I mentioned earlier, the lockdowns right here, the lockdowns across Canada and in Germany kept results from being stronger during this quarter. One thing I want to mention is my favorite cannabis play is High Tide. This is not a High Tide video, but I want to mention that Aphria actually has a stake into High Tide, and since Aphria and Tilray are now merged, both entities are actually invested into High Tide. And so with Tilray saying that these lockdowns across Canada have hurt their numbers, they could have seen a stronger quarter if there were no lockdowns, shows me how valuable High Tide is. High Tide operates mainly in Canada, retail establishments. They have a huge e-commerce platform in America. However, their adjusted cash flow was positive and their year-over-year numbers have been extraordinary. So the fact that these guys are saying that Canada numbers were hit because of the lockdowns, and you have High Tides whose numbers were well over expectations and are only going to grow, shows me the value in High Tide through these earnings. And so as someone who doesn't want to diversify too much in the cannabis space, I do look for the best plays. On paper, Tilray and Aphria are the biggest play. However, I think the best bang for your buck at current price valuations, High Tide is my pick for the cannabis industry. And so now that we covered a very nice earnings here for Tilray, I just want to go over the charts, because the charts is where the real action is at. So today we had a great day. You could see volume was absolutely insane today. Tons of accumulation. Our RSI went from oversold yesterday to above 50 today. So that is absolutely insane. We do have a slight gap to fill now here at around 1365. So be careful for that if you are getting into Tilray. But the biggest thing I want to mention on this chart is actually that our 200 SMA is pretty much in line with our uptrend. So this is going to be a major level of resistance for Tilray. You can see today that a price action got above, but we could not close above our uptrend line as well as our 200-day SMA. But what could be very nice right now for Tilray is if it can get its price action above this green line, which is the 50 SMA. That would mean that we will not see the death cross in this situation, which would be a bullish sign for Tilray and the cannabis industry as a whole. And if we get the price action above, we are going to start to see our 50 SMA curl up. As our 50 curls up, we are anticipating higher price action in the short term. And so right now what we're waiting for is to see if we can break past this level of resistance. This is going to be a pesky level. If we can't break this in the next couple days, then I expect this gap to get filled here at 1365. You can just see how bad the distribution on this stock has been. So even though we had a great day today, just keep in mind the grand picture of Tilray. A lot of distribution. This was still very little accumulation relative to all the distribution we have seen on the stock. And so I don't want people to get their hopes up just yet. One, because of the gap fill, also because of how much distribution we've seen. But it is a great sign to see stocks like Tilray go up today. If you look at a stock like SNDL also today closed closed above its 200-day SMA. So this is actually a better setup than Tilray is right now. Anytime you can get above a SMA level shows that there is more power and momentum in that stock. And so SNDL is one of those momentum plays that once it breaks past this 50 SMA, I do believe SNDL is going to have a nice run up. And so we're still waiting patiently for that to play out. Lastly, let's just take a quick look at my favorite play here in HITI. So I had a pattern expiration on this stock at around August 12th, mid-August. And so we had a breakdown of this pattern right here. But what we would love to see with HITI now is if we can start to get a trend reversal and break past this level of resistance and ultimately past this level of resistance before August 11th, that would be an extremely bullish sign for HITI. This would represent a bear trap if that is to play out, and I think that would be the best case scenario overall for HITI. That would mean that we are breaking our bull flag and our triangle then to the upside, and so it is still yet to be seen, but we are starting to see great news in the cannabis industry, and so I can't really see HITI going much lower. We do have a gap to fill here at $4.67. That is my final level of support on this stock. However, at a valuation basis, the stock is already extremely undervalued to its peers, so I can't see it get to this level, especially if other cannabis stocks are going up. And so let's see if we can build on this momentum in the cannabis space to see if we can break past this level of resistance before August 11th. If we can, that is going to be a great sign of strength for not only the cannabis industry, but HITI as a company. But right now, our focus is here on Tilray. And so I want to mention here that the setup is looking very nice. Hopefully we can get the price action above this point and we can start to get more momentum in the cannabis space because the earnings are now talking for themselves. We don't need to talk about if companies are going to make money, how they're going to make money. They have been making money during the worst of situations, and this is still during a time where it's not even federally legalized in the United States and also elsewhere in the world. So the rest of this week is going to be very interesting here for Tilray. We had a great earnings. We'll see if we can break past this level. If we get rejected by this point, then that will be a very bad look here for Tilray. You can see we already got rejected one time here by our 50 SMA, and now here we're going to try our attempt again. If we get rejected, that is going to be a very tough sign. So over the last, I would say, month and a half, we've had one rejection, two rejection, and so if we get a third, it is not going to look good. And so simply put, if you get rejected again, look for this price action to fill the gap here at 1360. May not happen right away, but that is going to be a level to watch out for the short term. So I wanted to make a quick little update here on the cannabis sector, some specific stocks that I have my eyes on. I know some of you guys have your eyes on. And so if you guys enjoyed this quick little update, don't forget to like. We are on the road to 10K subs. So if you made it to this point, feel free to hit that subscription button. This is Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.